Hi, this is Jeanne Mullen, and I'm going to take you through the FlexKom America merchant agreement for merchant purchase terminals. The goal of this is so that once we're through, you'll be confident enough to take this agreement and approach merchants so you can sign them up for our wonderful program. As you can see, there's a lot of legalese in here, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. I want to go over the information that you'll need to have as a partner discussing this with a merchant. So first of all, let's go to the Merchant Services and Purchase Agreement in the middle of page 1. This is an understanding between FlexKom America, the merchant, and the host of our website, FlexKom International Holding, so that they know that what we're doing in our business and that we're helping them to attract more customers, that there's a matching allocation, which we'll go into a little bit later, as well as the option to purchase and own the FlexKom terminal as defined. So once again, read through this very carefully, and if you have any questions on anything, we'll be glad to answer that through American support at flexkom.com. Make sure that the bottom of the page is initialed. This lets you know and the merchant to know that it's important for them to read all the information on each and every page. Okay, so we get to page 2 and we're going to talk about what the merchant agrees. So by accepting our contract, he is agreeing to, 1, make sure that he has the right equipment to be able to interface with the terminal and to be able to take the FlexKom app and/or card. Talks about the Wi-Fi functioning and internet access, and that they're responsible for those fees. That once they agree to this and they want to, they can go into the back office and they can purchase their terminal. Of course, we do have some things going on now where they can actually call us to purchase a terminal for some of the discount programs that we have currently in place. Okay. If we don't have any terminals in stock, it lets them know that they have 30 business days after the date of this, that we're guaranteeing them that they will have their terminal and they'll be ready to transact business using the FlexKom terminal and app. Okay. And we also have set up a very special email, americanmerchant@flexkom.com, which will give the merchant access to someone who is trained to help them with any merchant-related problems or questions or concerns. Okay. So next we get into FlexKom undertakings, merchant and customer coding. Again, as you know how well the app works, this allows them to start earning discounts when a customer has an app and they go to a merchant. And this just explains to them how all this is going to work. That once they sign up a customer through their own store or their retail outlet, that customer is coded to them for life. As long as they stay in the program and they stay active, they will get commissions from that customer spending wherever that customer goes and spends money. And that's one of the best benefits of our program, is not only do they give discounts to the customers, but the customers are actually going to start paying them back as well. So they will receive their 100 Flex cards coded to their terminal, and they can continue to use them. Now the customer will help the merchant to earn a bonus of 12% off the merchant FlexKom allocation that's paid by the merchant for each transaction, and we'll get down to that in section 6.7. Once again, merchant initials at the bottom of the page. So what services will we be providing the merchant? 1, free of charge seamless processing of credits and charges from the merchant's account. A free of charge limited license to use the FlexKom advertising trademarks. The ability to become a member of the FlexKom community. Access to push advertising depending on the laws and regulations of their particular state, and promotion of the merchant via the FlexKom website. And this is all for that one-time payment of $950, and then the matching funds allocation for discounts that they're already giving to their customers, but they don't know how well they're paying back. So the merchant goes in, and most of you should be familiar with this. It's just like what you did when you became a DMR. They go in, they get an ID, they get a password, and it enables them to access the merchant back office. They have to protect their ID and password because they don't want just anyone in their back office. As we all know, that's not the best thing to do. They will work directly with the DMR who will help sign up the merchant and will also be that merchant's contact for any issues to do with account performance. Compliance, we're letting the merchants know that we are and will remain, and the merchant must remain compliant with all laws, policies, guidelines, regulations, ordinances, and rules applicable to the agreement, to the state, any government authorities out there. Because again, compliance is what keeps this program going forward and positive for everyone who participates. Merchants are free to use third-party products and services. It's different than anything that we have, and it's not affiliated with our terminal agreement. So they can have their own credit card processing and anything else that goes on out there. So what does the merchant have to do? The merchant will be giving a 3% to a 20% discount to a customer for using their place of business. The merchant gets all the money up front and puts the discount back onto the customer's app or card. But the best part about this is the merchant has kept all their money up front. Then, after they give this discount, they do a matching funds allocation, as you can see in 6.6 on the 4th page. The matching funds allocation is their cost to us for the marketing and advertising of the customer loyalty program that we're offering them, their website, and all the good things that they can see by having their participation out on our app, online, and on smartphones. So we get into, and I know sometimes this is the hardest thing for some people to understand, is how do we take the money from the merchants? So the merchants will be putting down a deposit, a prepayment on their account. This allows us to go green with that merchant. We have some money up front, so as customers go in and they give a discount to the customer has immediate access to take that discount and use it. The nice thing about this is that we will then only go to the merchant once a week, and we will net out all the discounts, all the allocations that they would owe to FlexKom. We would deduct commissions that we owe to them, so the net amount that they would pay us on a weekly basis is smaller and smaller as they start giving more and more discounts, redeeming discounts, and as well as having their customers earn money for them. So we do this through 2 methods. One, the merchant can agree to allow us to ACH, which is like an e-check, take money directly from his checking account, or they can allow us to charge a credit or debit card once a month so that we can transact this. You will see those back in Appendix B and C. Appendix A sets the limits for how much they will allow us to take out at one time, so there's a maximum, and then also defines the minimum that we have to have at least $50 on hand. Okay. If for any reason we can't get money, we also have a 15-day termination of agreement, which means that we can terminate our relationship with this merchant for non-payment, and that if there's any funds that we may owe them, that we can hold them until we can resolve the issues. It may just be a suspension, or it could be a termination of the agreement. So these pages here, 4 or 5 and beyond, are very, very important for the merchant to read and to understand, and for you to understand to explain to the merchant. The minimum deposit is $50. With a minimum deposit of $50, we will be going into that merchant's account probably 2 to 3 times a week to make sure that we do not get into a deficit with that merchant for any discounts that they're giving. So it's important to try to get them to give us at least $200 or $300 to avoid hitting their account. This can be a bookkeeping nightmare for those of you familiar with the accounting aspect of things, but it also, we don't want to go to where we're putting money out without a guarantee of that money coming back in from the merchant. Okay, so 6.8 all the way down talks about this minimum amount, different things, the legalese of termination, stuff like that. The best thing about our program is we are not transferring any fees for this ACH or transactions to the merchant. They may have fees of their own for credit card transactions that they have for taking credit cards, but they will not get a fee from us for processing the ACH or a credit card payment. The merchant also has the ability, if they do a refund or a return, that they can deduct that from the customer's app or card so that the merchant is made right. And then that also, when that comes through, will deduct the matching funds allocation that they would have had to have paid us. They don't have to pay anything to join the program as a merchant. They just have to get that terminal. We provide them with a sticker that is in the box with the terminal, and we will eventually soon have available other stickers and whatnot that they can purchase so that they can advertise FlexKom in more places than just at the terminal site. Okay. Again, we get into a lot of different things that the merchant cannot do, and one is that they cannot use FlexKom customer data for marketing purposes unless merchant has received the customer's consent for this use, and the use is consent with U.S. law. So when they sign up with us, that consent is a part of the customer website, the customer back office, as well as the merchant's ability to be able to do that. So we want to make sure that they are only sending out things related to the FlexKom program, discounts and stuff for their particular business. They're not trying to use the FlexKom program to advertise things for non-FlexKom transactions or discounts that are part of our thing. They have to make sure that they're not saying things that are false or misleading. And many of these things you should be familiar with because they're part of your policies and procedures that you agree to be a DMR. Okay. Any questions from the press, so forth, they just need to direct it to us here at the corporate office. Okay. Talk about deactivation. We hope never to have to deactivate a merchant, but again, they have to maintain funds. If we're not able to get funds, that can cause a deactivation, and then depending on the severity of it, could result in termination. We have the lovely confidential information. We all should be familiar with this, that we don't share information, we don't discuss things. I know Larry puts his disclaimers out there every night on his call, so please understand that this is stuff that everyone just needs to read through. It's standard confidentiality things and whatnot. The merchant's responsibility as far as their servers and whatnot, this is standard PCI compliance. So again, just reading through there and understanding they need to protect their back office, their IDs and their passwords. So to avoid any intrusion from third parties, make sure they have the proper things on their own individual computers. Okay, FlexKom, again, we talk about how we collect the data. We will not use this data to solicit customers or go out and send anything to customers whatsoever. Ours will mostly be for statistical purposes to see who we're serving and how many people we're serving in a particular area. That will help us determine where we need to focus our attentions on as we go forward. Intellectual property, again, in the API, more legal descriptions of what our property is, computers, trademarks, the merchant's mark license and stuff. Lawyers love this stuff. I truly don't understand all of it, but we know it needs to be there. Okay. So we're going to get down here to the FlexKom trademarks. Right now we have FlexKom trademarked and authorized FlexKom trademark retailer. We do have other trademarks that we are in the process of getting, and once we have them, we will send out an addendum for the DMRs and for the merchants so that they can use them as well. You know, these take a little bit longer to get, and we will be updating you as they come along. Mutual warranties. Again, with a contractor, pretty much, you know, people can terminate this at will. We can terminate usually the required 30-day notice, that type of stuff. Now we're going to talk about the hardware. The terminal has a warranty for 12 months. This warranty is for manufacturing and parts defects. This is not a warranty because they dropped it on the floor and cracked the screen, or somebody dumped, the server dumped a pitcher of soda all over it. Again, this is just for manufacturing and parts defects. There's been a lot of talk about other add-ons, such as the printer. And once again, if someone puts an add-on and it's determined that add-on caused the problem, the warranty is null and void. So make sure you know what you're adding and where you're getting it from, and always check with American support to see if it's something that can be compatible with our terminal. Okay. And once again, make sure all these pages are initialed. Okay. We have our lovely disclaimer out there. Same disclaimer as we have in our policies and procedures. Things happen. We would love for everything to be uninterrupted. We would love everything to be error-free. But we need to know that in the real world, things happen. Systems go down. Mother Nature can create issues and whatnot. So again, this disclaimer is just saying that we will do everything that we can, that we have control over, to make sure our systems are up and running. But there are times when things happen that are outside of our control, and therefore we will not be responsible for that. And that's the same thing that the merchant gives back to us. Merchant indemnity, that they're holding us harmless from anything that transpires from their business, and we hold them harmless from anything that transpires from our business. There's some limitations again, the nice legalese and stuff like that, but it basically sets that there's any disputes or whatever, that we're not looking to have merchants owe us a lot of money or us owe merchants a lot of money. So that's what these limitations go into. And it's always important when you're dealing with the merchants, have them read this. Whoops. Because they need to know all this. They need to be aware, not just for their relationship with us, but with any other vendor that they may get into a thing. Again, term and termination repeated over and over again in here. So written 30-day notice to FlexKom, they can get out of the program. And the question comes up, so what happens if a merchant terminates from the program and you've sold them a terminal? At this point, you have a couple options. You can go back and see if they'll let you buy that terminal back from them and place it somewhere else, depending on how long it's been there and depending on what condition it's in. So you still have some options to work with that with them, but the terminal is not going to be any value to them if they're no longer in our program. So, just be creative and look at ways that you can take advantage of that. Okay. If they need to return a terminal, it sets out the guidelines. They have to call for a return authorization, and they can contact you if you're the DMR that placed it, and then you need to call for a return authorization if you're returning something that meets within the termination guidelines of 72 hours with some of the exceptions up above. Again, it sets out how to return things and the way it needs to be packaged so it comes back. Okay. Then we get into the lovely definitions of some of the things that are unique to our thing to make sure that everybody understands what we're talking about and what we need. And then the lovely finalizing relationship of the parties, that we're all independent, that there's no agreements, that we're all working together as agents or employees, telling them where they can send notices to us, that there can be addendums and modifications to provisions, and that they will be sent out by us at least 10 days prior so that they know what's going on, and that they will become effective upon at least 30 days notice and whatnot, which is standard. That as long all these parts of 16.3456 are your basic standard contract information. Everything is under the laws of the state of Nevada. So any disputes and whatnot would be handled here, that we do arbitration as opposed to wildly unrealistic lawsuits. And merchants will not have the right or the power to assign any of the merchant's rights or delegate the performance of any of merchant's obligations under this agreement without the prior written consent of FlexKom, including in the case of a merger. So if someone buys out that merchant, this terminal and this contract and stuff are all subject to continued approval by FlexKom. Okay, the entire agreement, the application, affiliates, and whatnot. Again, read through here. Again, we are FlexKom America, and we are an affiliate of FlexKom International, but we are not affiliated or dealing with the merchants on any other aspect other than the terminal. So you're going to get down to the agreement where they're going to sign. They're going to agree to purchase the terminal, that they have reviewed and understand the terms and conditions, that they agree to be legally bound by the terms and conditions, and they understand and agree that the use of the FlexKom service and any related projects or services will be governed by this agreement, and the execution of this agreement, merchant understands and agrees that all sales subject to the 72-hour rule of right of rescission of your state-specific stipulation. The signature of the merchant, the date, print name and title of the person, and if their printing is not very legible, it would be nice if you could print their name as well so we have clear identification on here. The merchant will end up with an ID number, so it would be nice for that to be there so we can find them in the system quicker. Your signature with your information, these will come in here, and once we have everything approved, checked, and set up, this will be signed, and then a scanned copy will be sent back both to you as the DMR and to the merchant. So we're going to get down here into our appendix. Appendix A, again, deposit account minimum and maximum balance. A minimum of $50, so we can turn them green right away. And they determine the maximum, and that's sitting down and looking at what they realistically think that they might be giving in discounts on a weekly basis. If they're a very high end and their discount is 5% and they anticipate 10 customers a day that they might get into the FlexKom program to do this, they might want to put $500 down or $1,000 down. And again, this is how often do they want us to go hit their bank account or their credit card to withdraw the funds. Most of them should have an idea of what they redeem in coupons or other discounts each week, so they need to put something there. We're seeing right now an average of about $500 a merchant, and that seems to be working very well. If we're seeing a higher volume of discounts with the matching funds allocation, our office will then get with the merchant to discuss maybe raising their minimum balance or their maximum total amount and their minimums up. Again, the name of the business, signature date, printed their name and your name as well. So we get to Appendix B. The only difference between Appendix B and Appendix C is how we take that money. Appendix B, the money comes out from ACH, which we go directly to their bank. The money is withdrawn and deposited into our account. They give us the financial institution's name, their routing number, their checking savings account number, and the signature of a person who's authorized on that account. And it's real important because sometimes if we can't read the name when we're setting these up, these will get kicked back because the authorized agent's name does not match what's on file with the bank. So to avoid any delays, make sure they print their names so clearly that we can read it and repeat it to a banking official if necessary. They need to initial all these pages as well. If they choose B, they don't need C. If they choose C, they don't need B. And C again is that we can charge their credit card or debit card, and it gives us all that information, and it sets the minimum of 50 and the maximum amount that they will allow us to go up to. We will never go over that amount. Okay, and then the final page here is just something for us. Is you put the merchant's name, their ID number, tells you where to send your signed contract. It also gives you our fax number and reminds you that it can take up to 5 business days for activation of your account after terminal installation. So I hope this has been a little bit of a help. Any questions? Once again, American support at FlexKom.com, and we'll make sure that we address them the next night on Larry's conference call. Thank you.